What is going on, folks? It is the True Vapor Show number 121. Yes, 121. We've actually made it this far, and I don't know if we'll make it any further, but at least we made it this far. So today, I actually do have a nice panel sitting here with some special guests. But before we get to our special guest, let me get my other crew members out the way. I'm going to take it away with Mark. Hit it for me, kid.
What's going on? Let's see. I got the VJet, Sense VJet right there. I got the IPv6X with the, I don't know who's this from. I want to say, I forgot. I don't know who it's from, but it's a tank. I got the iconic RDA with the 528 Drip Tech, and then the D Pro 133 with the drop, and then Juice. We got some Nada Portuguese custard. We got some of Mr. Mike's strawberry. And then I also got some of Mike's Boston cream. That's it. Take it away, Mr. Michael.
Alrighty. Vaping on the Drop RDA with the Asmodus Luna Swanker. And there I have some Coil RKOI. Also vaping on the SQ Swanker. I got the iconic RDA on there. And in there we have some blue pucker. That's it. I'm just vaping on two things today.
Nice, nice. Real quick, I'm keeping it real freaking simple. I was, in honor of our special guest, going to do the Siren 2, but the freaking screw in the post has seized up, so no good. Can't fuck with this one today. So I'm going to just be rocking the Pulse Squonker with the drop. And in that, I'm going to be doing some blue pucker myself for Mr. Tony B. And our special guest in one damn screen, Phil and Dimitri. Take it away, guys.
Hey, you know what? It's really funny. We came on to talk about MTL atomizer, and everybody's using squonkers and drippers. I mean, it's
okay. So I mean, they went through all their fancy product here.
Right.
Today, I'm going to be using the Buzz Pro. Got the Buzz Pro right there. I got the Lava Tube. Be using the Lava Tube in this here video, and the Evolved Darwin. I'm going to be rocking that in the video too.
I've got a little simple RDA build here.
Yeah, I like
the resistance is 7.3 ohms, and I'm actually using some Bromance liquid over here. This is from actually 2011.
Yeah,
it's Steep Deadly Sin. It's really, really good.
Really nice. I'm also gonna be using this here this stick battery here that I'm just gonna put together real quick, and I'll be using that right there too. That's what we got.
So we're all set to go.
Nice.
Just hopefully the clouds won't block the
camera.
I
hope so. I hope so. Yeah.
Definitely don't cloud the screen up now.
Yeah. Well, we'll do our best.
No. Thanks for having us, Scott, and we certainly appreciate it. We always have a good time hanging out with you guys.
Definitely. Well, thanks for coming on. Well, big news is y'all have got a new mouth-to-lung atomizer out. Let's get right into it. So
initially we were going to do a dripping RDA because I think we need more reviewer dripping RDAs. There's not enough out there right now as it currently stands on the market.
I totally agree.
But
we're working on a way to fit 75 coils into one atomizer, so we might have that.
But we haven't gotten to that stage yet. Yeah. But what we initially had planned to do, I mean, obviously knows that me and Phil, all kidding aside, all these years have focused on the mouth-to-lung style vaping and trying to convert people, and we maintained that same path when we decided to actually put our names on hardware. So I mean, it would be kind of ironic for us to come out with, you know, a 7-coil sub-ohm tank or a dripping RDA because that's the style that we vape, and also I think that everybody will agree that there's a plethora of sub-ohm setups out there. Yeah, did you like that word?
Plethora.
Did you like that? That's Greek.
Pulled that right out of your ass.
But there's a lot of, you know, there's definitely a lot of new stuff coming out for the advanced user or the direct lung user, and I don't think we've had enough new stuff come out for the MTL vape or for people to convert. So originally we were going to have 2 atomizers come out at the same time. One is the RTA, and one was the replaceable coil, the Aris and the Zenith. However, the Zenith got pushed back a few weeks for some minor aesthetic and one design change that my buddy here, Phil, discovered. A very, very minor change, but something that needed to be addressed anywho. So That will be coming out mid-December. What we're releasing this week is the Eris mouth-to-lung RTA. And the goal with the Eris was?
Check all the boxes.
Check all the boxes.
Check all the boxes. So, and by the way, I'm very surprised that I'm getting a chance to talk, because when Dimitri's here, I really don't get much of a chance to talk. But the boxes were ease of filling, ease of building, ease of use, to eliminate the potential for gurgling, flooding, and leaking as much as possible, and to create an extremely all-inclusive kit that maybe would take some of the fear away from building for some folks. And I hope we've accomplished that. It comes with a plethora of accessories.
Is it plethora or plethora?
Plethora. No, plethora.
No, that's a Greek.
Well, is it like clitoris or clitoris?
I don't know. Especially you don't know. It's a long time since you've seen one.
I got a question about the RTA. Is it gonna have like a bunch of adapters, like the way we've seen? Like, okay, good.
No, just a diffuser, very similar to what we saw on the Digiflavor Siren 1.
Yeah, we just released on tasteyourjuice.com like an introduction video for it. Of course, I see it after you watch this show. But Mike, you'll agree that a mouth-to-lung draw is designed from the intake of the air all the way up to the mouthpiece. I think the reducers are kind of like a cheat way to restrict the airflow, but that doesn't necessarily make it a mouth-to-lung draw. You know, so just by restricting the airflow, you're really not creating a mouth-to-lung draw. You're creating a tighter draw, and I think there's a big difference for people that do vape MTL or for people that are converting to that can notice that. Now, if you direct lung or if you haven't vaped like that in a very while, it might not make that much of a difference. But I think for us, since bread and butter for us is MTL, what we try to design is have the airflow ring actually work the way it's designed to adjust the way that the draw comes in, but the way that the air hits the coil is constant and it hits it from all angles to make sure that we get full flavor and a defined throat hit. So the diffuser is fixed. However, you can adjust everything to the airflow.
Right. Basically, you don't want to have like a whole bottom open airflow to where you're getting a rush of airflow going in and then getting reduced.
Exactly.
You know, you want it to be an even flow going in.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, and there's a lot of designs it built into the atomizer to really make it a smooth, very, very smooth vape with as little air turbulence as possible. As a matter of fact, a lot of people, including Dimitri, have commented that it's probably one of the quietest vapes that he's tried or they've tried.
Yeah, we've got a pretty thick bell inside, and the way that the bell and the chimney is designed to cut down the harshness. I say this a lot of times about the air, some RTAs that we use constantly. There's a little bit of a harshness there, which of course defines throat hit for us. But Phil and me, we really sat down, and this was really Phil's idea of we need to design the atomizer for the majority of the MTL vapor crowd, right? And how do we make it smooth and quiet and not harsh? Because Phil, the way that he vapes, he really likes that thump in the back of his throat. But sometimes when you give this to a new vapor or a smoker coming in, they choke or they say, oh, this is a little bit too harsh. So we tried to adjust it where we have that defined throat hit that we like, but also it smooths it out for the majority of the people that are going to be transitioning.
What the fuck am I sitting here for?
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Just interview Dimitri. You'll be all right.
We'll see you again soon.
Oh, God, that's funny.
All right, let me ask this question. I feel like I know the answer already, but why did y'all decide to go with Innokin on this one right here?
It's a good question. By the way, if you guys were a little bit more prepared, you had at least an hour to watch the video that we put up this morning, so you would have had the answers to all these questions.
Well, we got to act like this is like groundbreaking, first time nobody else has got to see this shit.
Well, that's true. That's the truth. A lot of people have not seen the video, so this is actually the first time that we sit down and talk about the atomizer in a Q&A format. So we appreciate that. Really
so first of all, Innokin, Innokin George, if you guys don't know him, I have known George since Bogue. Okay. George used to say, because he realized that with all of the liquid reviews that I was doing earlier in my review, I don't want to call it a career, but my review hobby, right? He realized that I was using all the Bogue Cardos, and every time that I would do, a liquid review, I was talking about the Bogue Cardomizer. So he got a hold of me. He's like, let me just send you these Bogue cartomizers, and he did. He realized that the power of the review and the power of talking about the cartomizers all the time. And then he left Bogue and he went to Innokin. When he did that, what are you doing?
I'm timing how much you're going to be talking. Just
okay.
Want to make sure we get even
equal airtime.
Yeah,
it's a good idea. He contacted me when he went to Innokin and said, "Hey, can you take a look at some Innokin product?" And I say, absolutely. So, I mean, there's a long history there. Number one, number two, and Dimitri will talk more about this. Innokin, I used to call them, and I don't call them it anymore because it's negative at this point, but I used to call them the pro vape of China, right? Because they were, when I compared all of the Chinese manufacturers, they were very, very concerned with not only quality, but also safety, and maybe even to their detriment a little bit, right? They kind of focused on internal batteries and keeping things as safe as possible. You could see it in their instructions and the warnings that come with their devices. And I don't think they've ever lost focus of the smoker. They continue to put out, they try to put out a product for the mainstream, but then they try to put out a product for the smoker. So go ahead. You got more there?
Yeah,
that's about enough.
I do want to add that the truth to their detriment in the last couple of years as well, too, as Innokin has kind of dropped from the hype, has been that they take time to put out product. Well, I mean, you see other companies that take a box, right, and they put it out in the market, and 2 weeks later, they just throw some LED lights on their same box, same chip. They put it out there. And then a week later, they take a skull and they put it out there. And then in the next week, they put LED lights on the tank. I mean, it's the same thing over
smoke.
Well, I mean,
sorry, guys.
There's quite a few companies that do that, and they flood the market with products. So we get that the name and the hype is constantly out there. But at the end of the day, it's the same box, it's the same chip. It works, it functions exactly the same. And it's like that squirrel syndrome that the vapors have, that chasing the dragon and try to get. And it's fun, especially for the enthusiast, but it's overwhelming for the smoker and for the new people that are coming into the industry. So I think what Innokin is doing matches what we are doing as personalities, if you want to call it, or if people in the community are trying to help smokers convert. So it only made sense that we partnered up with them. Now, I'm not going to lie to you that there were other companies that came after us and made offers to us to create these projects together, but it wouldn't make sense for us to go with a company that focuses directly on direct lung or sub-ohm products. It would be really ironic for us, even though it might have been more popular and we got more hype for it, to go and put out a mouth-to-lung product with a company that does not focus on that, just simply for the commercialized, use of it. And we also felt comfortable that whatever we say, when we're going to put our names on a product, we want to make 110% sure that product will be exactly the way that we want it to be on the market, which with other companies, sometimes that does not happen. They just take somebody's name and they just stick it on an atomizer and they put it out there just for the publicity. And usually, sometimes they don't have the input or as much input as they would want into it. So I think that was very, very important for me and Phil to maintain our integrity in our name.
Gotcha. Cool. Well, it seems to make sense that, I mean, I know as much as y'all deal with Innokin, that would be the perfect company to go with. And again, Innokin being a very well-known brand, we've always talked about, like in our groups in the past, that, Innokin might not be always groundbreaking, but whatever they put out a quality product. It's not just some shit they've slapped together and said, all right, here you go, buy it. They've always put out good products. So,
and we've seen, we've seen, so when you think Innokin, I always think MVP, right? I mean, that was such a big product for them. And hopefully we're going to be able to work with them on a new version of the MVP, because I think there's something about that box. And I always say, like, when I look at all my gear and like the batteries are dead on everything, I know I can grab my MVP and it's got some kind of charge left on it, right?
Yep.
And we've seen things from them, like the what is it? I always call the number the wrong way. The 168,
the 134,
the 134, which is was totally unique, and that was such a cool looking piece. So I haven't seen a whole lot of follow the leader from Innokin. They seem to just kind of do their own thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's very important as well too. What you're seeing out there, like one company puts out a box with an LED, and all of a sudden, 20 companies have a box with an LED out there, and Innokin does not follow that path. Now, is that good for them or bad for them? I don't know. I think it's the right thing for one, and whether it's a commercial success or not, I think that maintaining that path is really important for the innovation of the company and also for the branding of the company as well too. You know, you can count a handful of companies that just kind of follow the leader. Just today, I got an email, by the way, from a company that's known to put out direct lung stuff, and I think that me and Phil have really started an MTL hype in China. But we just got an email today and that says that we are a company who've been in China for 7 years developing e-cig products, and in their tagline they have direct lung, sub-ohm, and MTL RTA, which I've never seen from a Chinese company, a large Chinese company, send out in an email as well too. So maybe people will start following Innokin as well too, because I truly believe. Go ahead, I guess. Oh, it's probably for me. I truly believe that it's up to us as well too. The people like Mike and Fagan, the people that are in this eye of the community. I really believe it's for us. It's a benefit to promote MTL as well too, to get more people to convert. So
I'll
if we
tell you
create
something. Lately, I think split in half. My reviews have been direct lung and mouth to lung.
Very good. And we really, I mean, I think you're going to see that the MTL videos are not going to get as much views as direct lung.
They don't.
But think about this: if you're going to help a couple of people find a product that's going to help them quit smoking, to me, that's totally worth it. And if we create that hype, we're going to see more and more selection and more competition. And I think competition is a great thing ultimately for the consumer.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And by the way, Scott, if you have this show a little bit later in the day, Mike would wake up a little bit more. Just a little bit more.
I work nights. This is the only time I can do this.
And I want to thank Fagan for answering my questions the other day while you were masturbating somewhere. I don't know where you were, but
and then you put out a video and you state twice the show is at 11 p.m. Oh no! I mean 11 a.m.
We talked about that on the Facebook Live. I kept saying, you know, he does record the show for people who actually have jobs, right?
Well, you know, something, and I don't know how we got on the subject of it, but last week on my show, me and Mark was talking a little bit how companies kind of trend with certain things like squonking. You know, squonking's always been around, but it seems like it's really gained a lot of steam here from a lot of companies. And it kind of seems like the same thing with the mouth-to-lung tanks, that even though they were out there, it seems like a lot more companies are jumping on now trying to get their atomizer out there. And it is something that's progressing a lot more now. So do you see this being like a lot bigger thing going on, or is it going to just kind of like just a few companies are going to mess with it and leave it alone?
You want me to start?
Go ahead.
Okay, so I think a couple of things there. And people are probably going to take this the wrong way and don't, okay? But I started hearing this maybe a year ago, where people came to me and said, hey, you know what? We had our fun with the direct lung. We blew our clouds. We did our tricks. And now we just kind of want to not smoke anymore, right? And I think it's going to change. I think as like with anything else, right? As you live your life, as you get older, what you like is going to change. And I'm also hearing, you know what? I can't afford to vape that way anymore. I mean, I'm going through so much liquid. I'm going through so many coils. I'm going through so much this, right? And you know, finally, what I see a lot of is I go to a show, and I see guys with their big direct lung atomizers, and I see them blowing their clouds, and then they pull like a Juul or a Fix out of their pocket, yep, and they do a little bit of this, right? And then they put it back. And it's like, okay, well, if you're direct lunging and if your clouds and all of that stuff, if that's like satisfying you, if that's what's keeping you off the cigarettes, then why do you have that Juul or that Fix, right? So I really think it's a combination of those things, and I think we're gonna see that. I think we're gonna see, you know, maybe as the younger generation, as they come into it, they're gonna be more excited about, you know, the clouds and the enthusiasts and the direct lung and the tricks, and then maybe they get past that stage. Maybe they stay with that. Look, I don't care what you do as long as you're not smoking anymore, right? But you know, it's a trend. It's something that I started hearing about like a year ago, and I hear about it more and more all the time.
I truly believe that 2018 will make an MTL comeback. Just a couple of things that I want to touch on. Think back when the explosion, not literally, of vaping happened in the United States and the brick and mortars were popping up. The product that caused that was the Ego Twist and the C4, right? Why? Because the C4 was a top filling, easy tank. You didn't have to mess with cardos and punching holes and dripping into a 510, right? So it was ease of use. The Ego Twist, very simple. You turn the knob a little bit on red if you want it hotter, if blue if you want it, you know, colder, right? That ease of use is really what propelled this industry to explode, and you saw this brick and mortar starting up. And then you had the next step was the Provari, right? So Ego Twist you started with, and you wanted something high end, you went to the Provari. And it seems like over the years we kind of forgot that. I think if we want this industry to come back, if we want to see businesses to stay open and brick and mortars to stay open, we have to go after our customers. And who are our customers? Smokers, which we're not catering to anymore. So I do believe that in 2018, we're going to see a comeback when it comes to that. Also, I think that there is a big segment that I call closet MTLers, right? There's a lot of people that use these products that simply you don't see them online, or they're embarrassed, or they feel intimidated. I mean, it's not very impressive to get on Facebook and take a puff out of a 1 ohm coil and just do that than it is to take a 0.1 ohm coil.
Don't hurt yourself now.
Do that, right? So I think that's kind of like the difference that we're seeing out there. I think if we can bring that hype back of actually converting and that feeling that we get, all of us that are in this community of helping smokers quit, and those that might have tried vaping in this way and it didn't work for them, because I know you guys like us hear all the time, oh, I went to the store. They set me up with a baby beast and an alien and 3 milligram liquid, and I was vaping so much, and it just didn't work for me. I went back to cigarettes. I think all of us here have heard that. So maybe if we can go after that crowd that tried vaping and it didn't work for them, maybe we'll see even more help on a national level of trying to save vaping as well.
Yeah, when we do this, like, you know, there are the people, there are trolls out there. Who'll say, oh, you know, they're against the cloud. They're against it. No, we're not. We're absolutely not. And we say that time and time and time again. But if anything, we should be supported and enthused, you know, by a lot of people, because I mean, what we're trying to do is not only create more vapors and save more lives, but we're also, you know, trying to create more customers. You know, customers for the online shops, customers for the vape shops. And if we just continue to focus on the vapors, we're not going to gain any additional customers. We're not going to grow this industry and make it stronger.
Something that I want to clarify. Why do I hear myself?
Hold on.
I hear an echo. There's a lot of vapors out there that vape differently. Everybody has a different style when they stop smoking. For you guys, it was mouth to lung, and that was it. It's mouth to lung. I love this. This is awesome. There's some people, though, when they quit smoking, the mouth to lung ain't hacking it to them. You know, so there is that market for direct lung. I know that single-handedly because I've given ex-smokers, what do you call it, the T18s, stuff like that, and I've had them complain to me, I can't do this. It's not enough for me with a high milligram nicotine. Then I give them a sub-ohm tank, and they're in heaven. And they've never lung hit before. They were just regular cigarette smokers. So there's a market for both. And some of these stuff that's coming out now, like, for example, I think Joytech came out with the Exceed.
Yeah.
They give you a nice mouth to lung coil, and they give you a direct lung coil. Yeah. It's like that is nice, because if we're gonna make smokers quit smoking, they need to experience both at the same time. Yeah. Let them try a mouth to lung, let them try a direct lung, and they see what style they like. You know, so it's both ways. It's not only for people to quit smoking mouth to lung, it's also direct lung too.
I mean, I partially agree with that, Mike. I partially agree. But when you go into a vape store and they don't have any mouth to lung options, how are they going to be able to experience?
That's their fault. That's on them.
But I agree that's on them, but also it's the hype as well too that's being created along. And this is what we're trying to say. We had a comment today on the video. One of the comments is like, can I put a 0.3 ohm build and direct along this the Aries? No, I mean, it's not made for that, right? So what we want is the people that vape like that and enjoy like it. We don't want them to buy this atomizer, but we want them to say to somebody that wants to try vaping or somebody that MTL, we want them, hey, give this a shot as well too. That's I think the point that Phil was trying to make. We're not trying to chastise anybody. The truth of the matter is that 99% of the people mouth to lung a cigarette. That is the truth. Now, younger people, if you got experience either with weed or if you have experience with other, directly lung is more easier for them. There's no doubt about it. Or people that have experienced that. And like you said, there's people out there that do like that feeling of, filling their lungs with vapor. I totally agree.
Right.
But the majority of people, and especially the older people, which really need to quit smoking, right? The people that have been smoking for 20, 25 years, 800 times a day, they take a mouth to lung drag off a cigarette. Right. And I don't think that we're focusing enough on those people in this industry yet. I think we're seeing more and more change that's out there, but I think that we've kind of left them off to the wayside.
And by the way, Mike, I totally agree with what you're saying. I mean, I absolutely, I've heard both stories, right? I've heard the story where they go in and they get the Baby Beast and it doesn't work because it's too far away from the cigarette, or they go in and they get the Endora and that doesn't work because they're just not satisfied by it. So, yeah, and that's why when you said the Exceed, I mean, I like kits like this because you're getting both styles, and both styles actually done pretty well in a kit like that. Right. So you can experience, both ways to vape.
That's where vape shops need to have. Let's say you have your testers, or have a certain dedicated testers where it's a direct lung and mouth to lung. So this way, when a customer comes in, they want to quit smoking. Here, try this. Right. Here's the same exact thing that looks. They both in and try this, and tell me which one you like.
I actually agree with that too, because you should not only have a tasting bar in a vape shop, but you should have an experience bar in a vape shop, right? Just like you're saying, like not only worry about the flavors, but also worry about the draw, worry about direct lung, worry about mouth to lung, and give that. It's like you said, it's on the vape shop. It's really, when people go into the vape shop, we've talked about this before, they're at the mercy of the guy behind the counter or the girl behind the counter. And it's that person's job to understand that transitioning smoker and pick the right product for them. If you have an 80-year-old who's been smoking all her life, walk into a shop and they walk out with a 200-watt mod and a Baby Beast, that might not be the right thing. If you have somebody who's younger, maybe a 19-year-old or a 20-year-old who hasn't been smoking very long and they're attracted to vaping, maybe the Baby Beast and the direct lung and the high wattage device is the correct device for them. But it's really up to the person at the vape shop to make that understanding of what that customer needs.
Yeah, I blame the vape shops on that end because they're not educated. They don't know. A lot of these owners that have vape shops don't even vape. Right. Majority of them are just cigarette smokers trying to just get in to make the cash grab on it.
Absolutely. And then you have people that are not trained behind the counter, or they vape a certain way and they believe. And also there is a financial factor. I mean, if they sell an Exceed kit, in their mind, they're getting $20. If they sell an Alien kit, they're getting $100. But financially, it doesn't make sense if that kit does not work for the customer because you lost the customer. So I'd rather sell them a $20 kit today, and then guess what? 3 months later, they might come and get a $40 kit, and then 3 months later, they might get a $100 kit. So I've made 3 sales, plus I've made a loyal customer that's going to bring me 10 more people inside. So I'm not going to say nobody, because there's vape shops out there that are doing it right. Unfortunately, they're in a very minimal section, unfortunately, of the retail sector in the United States.
Yeah, I remember going into a vape shop once here in New York, and I was with a friend of mine, and we went because I was going vape shop hopping just to check out all the vape shops in the area, and I look inside, I look and see what they have, and I said, "What do you have here for beginners?" So he says to me, "Well, we have the Noisy Cricket, we have the RX." I'm like, "What?" Yeah, this clueless. The Noisy Cricket now for beginners.
Yeah.
Can you do me a favor?
Yeah.
Can you vape this while we're on the show? Can you vape that?
That's my favorite mod.
Somebody screenshot that, please. Get it. No.
This is actually molded after you, isn't it?
What?
It's molded after you, isn't it?
Hey, look, I'm not a 20. Like I always say, I'm not a 26650, but the vape quality's pretty good.
This one's a dud, though. It's not working.
Well,
There we go.
you got to put a battery in there.
It's the blue pill. It needs the blue pill.
Many of them.
See, that's what's kind of scary now because I've been vaping for a very long time and sub-ohm wasn't out there when I started. So all you had was mouth to lung. And I can't relate to new vapors now because I smoked for over 27 years. And if I walked in and tried to go in and they sold me something with direct lung, I don't know if I could pull that off.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like mouth to lung really did it for me because, well, obviously it did because it got me off cigarettes. I've never gone back to them. But as time has evolved, you know, I tried the Nautilus Mini when it first came out, and that was kind of like stepping your game up a little bit. And then things progressed where I enjoyed the direct lung, but it's kind of scary to say as of now, with all the stuff that's out there, if you walk into a shop and you have some little young kid that he's all about direct lung, and you know what, I'm going to push this on you. It's like, I can't imagine how many sales have been lost to people that haven't had that choice of a mouth to lung to do what they wanted beyond that.
Yeah. Well, you know, one of the things, Scott, depending on how long you vaped, you took the journey. You took the journey along with vaping, right? I mean, you started here because here was your only choice. And then, you know, you got a different product and you tried that. Maybe you like that better. And then you got a different product and you tried that. Maybe you like that experience better. Now, I mean, it's good now that we have all the options, but the other problem is that we have all the options. So somebody starting today is dumped into the middle of this pile of stuff and experiences and draws, and it can be very, very confusing. And that's why I really like the idea of not only a tasting bar at a vape shop, but also an experience bar at a vape shop.
Phil has a really good theory about the needs of the vapor, if you want to touch on that. I mean,
I think we've talked about that before. Yeah. So, like, you know, we talk about vaping, and vaping has evolved. I mean, you guys can all agree that vaping has evolved from day one to day two. We have talked about this on the show, I think. So vaping has definitely changed from like when I started vaping in 2009 to where we are today in 2016. But 2017.
Yeah, it's okay. Close enough.
17. What fuck year?
You're only off by a year.
That's not bad. So, you know, we've got this evolution of vaping, and it's come a long way, and things have really, really changed and progressed. But, you know, in that time that vaping has evolved, smoking has not evolved at all, right? The way you smoked back before vaping compared to the way you smoke now is exactly the same. So if we think about the needs of the smoker really hasn't changed, but it's good that we've got, you know, all this gear for them now so that they can find what they like.
Even me, I like a looser mouth to lung draw versus Phil, right? Phil likes a restricted draw, kind of like a cigarette draw. I like my mouth to lung draw to be looser. That's just me evolving from smoking into vaping. And my needs have changed as well, too. But if we're looking back at when we started, and look how many people quit back then when there's no sub-ohm. I mean, you know, we really don't think about that as well, too. I mean, from 2009 to 2014, I think is when sub-ohm started coming. We're talking about 5 years of people that actually quit smoking with the available, whatever we had available at the time as well, too. So it's good to have the variety, but you got to admit that if you go right now to a Vapor DNA or Vapor Beast, and you click on starter kits, there's 7 pages of combination kits, and 80% of them are advanced devices. So people are confused. If I was going there just to pick something to get started, I would, first of all, I'd be confused. There's so many products. And then second of all, I'd say, well, this is the Innokin T18, it's $20. And then next to it, I have the Alien kit that's $80. I think that the Alien kit is better for me to quit smoking. So they pick it up, not knowing what they're doing, and then they have a bad experience with it. I do want to put this out that we're launching a really groundbreaking study with Dr. Farsalinos. It's going to be the 2017-2018 flavor study. It's going to be the biggest study ever done globally on the impact of flavors for vapors and for smokers alike. More information will come out in the next couple of weeks. But within that study, what we try to do is have questions as well on the conversion, right? So What did you use before? What did you transition to? How did the products work? What went wrong with them at the beginning? So what we're trying to do is gather data. If we can get that data, especially from people that tried vaping and it failed for them, we can definitely improve the way that we market and the way that we create these products as well too, because I think that's really missing. People will try vaping and it fails, and we don't know why. Did it leak? Was it too confusing? Was it the batteries? Whatever it was. If we can collect all that data over the next year, I think that we can really evolve to go back to helping the smoker.
Did you hear the way he said Dr. Frasolinos? It's like when, you know, you got somebody who's Spanish, who's speaking English, and everything sounds fine until they say tortilla, right? It's kind of like the same thing. Same thing, same idea.
He's trying to crunch a little Greek into it.
That's right. That's right. You gotta keep up the heritage.
Dr. Frasolinos.
So are y'all going like on world tour with the new mounted lung?
Yeah, we're starting in Antarctica. We're going to be there, followed by a brief tour in North Korea. We might not come back from that one, but no.
We've got a few events. I'll be at the Vapers Carnival this Saturday in North Carolina. I'll have the new Lift and the Zenith and the Aris with me to show it off. I was in Dallas last week and showing it off as well too. We've got a couple events planned. We're going to Greece December the 8th. We're having a presentation of the Aris there and the grand opening of the new Liquid Puff store in Athens and the distribution channel that I'm setting up there. Then I think we're going to do a couple of shows internationally with UK and hopefully Japan and a few more places in 2018. So it's not really a world tour, just basically what we've been doing in the past based on our schedule, but at the same time trying to promote these products as well too. Obviously, this is our living, and this is how we pay our bills and feed our families. So there has to be some of that that's mixed in there as well too. But we're really, really excited. I mean, it was just one thing to go for. I mean, we've been working on these products for a very long time. Trust me, working with this guy, you know, I mean, he is really, really anal in more ways than one. But I admire him for that, because we wanted to make sure that this was 110% to go to the market, and we wanted to make sure that we checked off all the boxes, like he said. And going from the concept and the design these past few years, and actually us discussing, you know, Phil was a little bit more concerned because obviously he still does reviews and I don't, about putting his name on a piece of hardware, how the people are going to react. But I think at this point, we can all agree. I mean, there's a lot of reviewers that have hardware on there. I think it only makes sense that since we specialize in the sector, that we made the move to actually put our names on hardware.
The way I see it, the reviewer knows the pros and cons.
Yeah.
You know, so that's why I was saying, Phil, I hear that feedback again when I'm talking. I see when Phil's a reviewer, so he knows what to look for, obviously.
Yeah, right.
Would be
and like, you know, like
you're eliminating your cons, basically.
Yeah, yeah. And one of the reasons why I can't review my own tank, right? I get beat up for that. But like Dimitri said,
we do a review. You do just a presentation video.
Yeah, that's what we did. We did the intro video.
Yeah.
But like Dimitri says, I want it at 110%, and we're still not there.
We're still
There's
not
all
there.
these like last minute issues and shit that we're dealing with. It's just it's a nightmare. It's been like a really, really stressful nightmare. And as far as doing a world tour, we are starting off with these really kind of like small, like pathetic vape shows like this one here, and then we're going to be moving on to much bigger, better shows like you know, Fagan Show and Mike Vape Show. So, yeah.
Thank you very much. I always love you there, brother. All right, let me ask this, because I've had the pleasure of being around Mike while he was developing his RDA and seeing what goes into it. Also being around Brian with his RDA. Can you tell us how long it took to actually, like, going back and forth with Innokin to say, I don't like this, yeah, I like that? How long did this one take?
Well, let's start off with this. Working with the Chinese is a very challenging thing to do, right? It's the language barrier. They can very easily understand when you do like a schematic or a drawing and something is like 1 millimeter versus 2 millimeters. That they can understand right away. But when you're trying to explain the experience, the reasons behind it, the vape quality, that's when it becomes a little bit harder to do. I noticed that like doing write-ups and sending text their way, it doesn't always work very well. Skype and WeChat calls work a lot better, but we were lucky enough to have the opportunity to actually go to China and sit with the engineers and translators and a whiteboard and drawings and designs and really kind of fine-tune things with them in the same room, which I think was extremely beneficial, right? And even then it didn't, work all the time. But I think that was really beneficial. But like how much time we have into it?
I mean, it's going on a year.
It's got to be going on a year.
Yeah.
Easily.
The discussion for these products started actually a very, very long time ago. And like many Chinese companies, Innokin had a lot of SKUs registered before August 8th. There were some fine tuning going on into these products for the last year. Obviously, ingredient listing has been delayed for another 6 months. However, I think that the process for us started in January, right? And then we went to China in June for 10 days. We sat there every day. In fact, in the video, you'll see a couple of sneak peek pictures of us on the working on the board with the engineers.
Which I'm really pissed off, by the way.
Yeah, because I had some pictures on my other phone and I switched to a new phone and
it looks like Dimitri's at the board designing the whole thing. And you really
but it's really funny. How do you explain to a Chinese? Look, the Chinese engineers are brilliant. I mean, they have some really very intelligent minds, but they're not vapors. Keep that in mind. And I think everybody needs to understand that. I'm not saying that as a detriment, but that's a bad thing. They're engineers. You can put 2 and 2 together, it makes 4, right? But how do you explain a wet, saturated vape, right? Because we're vapors, right? So I like that wet. Phil calls it saturated. I call it a wet vape when I'm mouth to lung, and I want to feel that vapor in my mouth before I inhale it. How do you explain that in Chinese, right? It's just a complete, language barrier. So we have to try to work with them and try through the translation that we have to relay passion. That's very, very hard to do.
That's the hardest.
And that's why we got delayed and to make sure that the experience is there more so than just the engineering of putting together a tank that checks off those boxes. And I think that we accomplished that, not only with the Aris, but the Zenith, for example, the replaceable coil tank. My wife has been vaping the Nautilus 2 for the last year exclusively. She likes 12 milligram liquid. She likes a throat hit. And but she didn't like the way that the Aspire feels. You have to take the cap off, and then if you overfill it, it floods, and then you got to take the glass off to change the coil. So we took all that stuff into consideration, relayed it to the engineers how we want to fix it. And now she has the prototype for a month and a half now. She's been vaping exclusively. She's a happy vapor. To me, that is the perfect example of giving an atomizer to somebody that you don't see. You're never going to see my wife online blowing clouds or even talking about vaping. And I give her this atomizer. She's satisfied. I know we got a winner. So I can relay that back to the Chinese engineers. And I said, there, we've got it. Stop now. Let's just make it prettier, make it sexier. And
by the way, that on the tank that he's talking about, that final last minute design change, right? So it kept happening to me, and I'm telling him, right?
True.
I'm like,
Right?
I'm like, this isn't gonna work. This is why this isn't gonna work. Oh no, it's fine, God, it's fine. Don't worry about it. It happened to him once. He's like, you're right.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, what the fuck?
Yeah, and again,
sometimes the language barrier with the Chinese is not as difficult as the language barrier with the Greek American. Sometimes there's even more of a language barrier there.
Yeah, but that's why we work good. I mean, we complement each other, and I get it. Even us, between me and Phil, we run sometimes into a situation where we see things a little bit differently. But the great thing about having a friendship and being able to balance each other is that we can get past that. And ultimately to create a good consumer product that people are going to enjoy, and I think that's why it works too. Really, I mean, it's just that's why we love each other.
I have a serious question for you guys. Is there going to be like a pink version of this tank coming out?
Yeah. Yep. So it's funny that
I'm very angry about
all
that.
the comments. I mean, this is my life. I mean, Phil has created this pink stigma that's going to follow me to my. I mean, in fact, I think my gravestone is going to be in pink.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
But the first comments that we got, obviously, for the RTAs are going to have pink O-rings. Yes, absolutely, it's going to have pink O-rings. I mean, we cannot not have pink O-rings. Oh. The tank itself, as far as the Zenith, the replaceable coil, we're not sure yet. We want to create a pink version. We don't know if it's going to be right off the bat. We want to get this out before Christmas. So I think we're going to go with 4 or 5 colors. We're also creating a kit, which I think is very important to give somebody the tank and the device. So if we're gonna have a pink tank right off the bat, I'm not sure, but I guarantee you one is gonna come. I think as far as coloring, it might not be the initial run.
I am bent out of shape, overwhelmingly disappointed that the pink O-ring is not part of the Zenith kit. Now, when he got the Aries kit, when he got the green O-ring, right? He just started talking about the green O-ring. I love the green O-ring, showing the green O-ring, and I think what he's trying to do is get himself out of that pink stigma. But yeah, so I mean, that's been like the question on everybody's mind, and I will bend over backwards and figure out how to get these pink O-rings available to everybody.
Yeah, but they are. I mean, the tank comes with white, green, and black, and then we have a blue, red, and pink option available as aftermarket accessories. If you follow me on Instagram, you know I'm a matchy guy. I just like my stuff to match, and when I got these green neon O-rings, even though it wasn't my favorite color, I just thought it looked really, really good on the tank. So we decided to go, and I think a lot more people will enjoy that, especially if you see some of the devices that are coming out. They're having this green neon, like the 2700 dual battery from Joytech, yeah, and the new Joytech MTL kit. So I think that it makes more sense for most of the people to have the green ones and the white and the black. I got this yesterday. I set this up because as soon as these came in, Phil waited for me to open them up, which I thought was really, really sweet. You know, this is actually the final production. So I put the black Aries with the black O-rings and the smoke glass tank and the black trip, and I just think it looks fantastic. I'm just a matchy guy, so
matchy.
Yeah, I just like it to look good, and I think it vapes better when it looks good. I mean, that's probably it's probably placebo, but you know, in my mind, at least I believe that.
All right, I know I'm going to get railroaded for this question, but when is the official date that the Aries releases, and what's the price tag?
The price tag will be $7,945. Okay, we're trying to compete with the K Fun.
Yeah,
and no, Black Friday. It's going to be available Black Friday, and you know, I mean, of course, the vendors are going to set the price, but the MSRP on it is $39.95.
$39.95. Yeah,
it was really important for us because, like, if you look at like everything that the kit comes with, so the kit comes with the tank itself. It comes with the spare glass. The spare glass is going to be smoked, right? So it comes with a clear and a smoke. It comes with 3 sets of O-rings. It comes with a package of build tools. So the build tools are going to have a screwdriver, which I'm not happy with. Thumbs down on the screwdriver.
Yep.
It's got a rod to build on. One side of the rod is 2.5 millimeter. The other side is 3 millimeter. It comes with a threaded rod to do Dimitri's training wheel spaced coils. It comes with a package of wire. So it's got 1 meter 26 gauge Cantel. It's got 2 pre-built coils. It's got cotton. It's got 2 mouthpieces. So I mean,
that's a lot.
It comes with a lot, right?
Yeah.
It comes with a lot. And even there, like, so if you look at the tools, they actually were able to etch Dimitri's tool and Phil's build tool on the other tools themselves. Even there, like, I was like fighting for a coiler, right? Because that's how I make my coils. I use a coiler. But we couldn't get under the $40 price because, like, when I first started, I'm like, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do all this. We're gonna have all of this stuff, and here's
like,
the price.
Come back, Phil.
And then like, here's the price, and they're like, no, you can't do that. I'm like, right. So, but I mean,
the screwdriver is a perfect example. I mean, I didn't want to put a generic, you know, flat hits, and everybody does that. I wanted to have a screwdriver, a double-ended screwdriver that has something etching on it, something cute, something nice, a little bit more stable than, you know, the generic. However, as that price goes up, you know, we start getting out of the range. And the purpose of this RTA is we want to give a K-Fun quality vape to people that can't afford $120. So we needed to keep it under the $40 range. And I'm sure online you're going to be able to get them even cheaper than that. And the projected date is Black Friday, but I can tell you that units have been shipped out this past week. So we might see them early on Monday and Tuesday of next week, starting to hit some of the online vendors as well too, and some of the brick and mortar stores.
Nice.
And we hope they're all perfect.
Yeah, and we hope that that they're all perfect.
Well, you know, I was telling Mark again last week when we were talking about the mouth to lung thing that I said if anybody out there was going to do this and going to do it right, with y'all teaming up to do this, I mean, it's the perfect thing. You know, I mean, everybody's got their specialty, but that's definitely y'all's specialty. And I can only see that tank being just an absolute winner right there. So
I'm just going to wait for the first reviewer that's going to review it and try to put something crazy in there and give it a thumbs down because it doesn't have a shitload of airflow.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to do that. We're
expecting that.
We know we're going to get negativity on it. We know that there are people just waiting to beat us up on every design decision, you know, that's gone in there. So I mean, we're just gonna have to grin and bear that, right? I mean, you know, with putting out a tank, Daniel knows with putting out a tank, Tripp knows with putting out a tank, that there are just people waiting to beat you up over, you know, what you did. So you know, we're fully expecting that, but we hope that the majority really enjoys the tank.
I will tell you that there is a direct lung version in the works as well too, because we do believe that there should be a balance. Obviously, it's going to be a single coil flavored direct lung tank. Based on the Skydeck design that we have on this one. But one of the things that we did very importantly is etch engraved directly onto the bell that this is the Aris MTL RTA. I mean, it says on the bell that this is MTL RTA. And that kind of will cut down a little bit, because if somebody takes this and builds it at 0.2 and tries to direct lung inhale it, I think there's going to be some backlash. You remember the people that are watching the video that says, while you were putting the bell on there, didn't you notice that it says MTL RTA on it, right? So we try to, you know, kind of prevent some of that that's out there. And we want people to know exactly what they're getting with this. You know, can you restrict lung inhale it? Yeah. I mean, I've built it at 0.5 and put a high VG liquid in there and it works just fine. But is it for somebody that enjoys a wide open airflow? Absolutely not. And and we don't, I mean, this is not geared for everybody, but we want people that do know that me and Phil have an expertise in MTL to direct people for this if they're looking for it. And that's the love in the community from the community support that we're looking for. If you know somebody that enjoys MTL and you try this tank and you like it, but it's not your style, recommend it to somebody else that might help them enjoy a good and enjoyable vape for under $40. And that's the thinking behind it.
And we'll be the first ones to admit, like the tank that you held up before, the Siren 2, that is an excellent mouth to lung tank. I reviewed it. It got a very positive review. Yeah, I got one sitting on this test box right there. There you go.
Yeah.
The Berserker, another good one. I still can't get it to fill without flooding. The new Cthulhu, the Hastor that came out. I mean, we're getting a lot of good mouth to lung options out there. Yeah. Ours is just another one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Hastor tank is crazy. I mean, I got it right now here. There we go.
Yeah.
I can do easy mouth to lung with this.
My problem with the Hastor was just the fact that it's difficult to work on the deck without draining the tank, right?
Yeah.
But
and also some of these tanks walk that fine line, like they're direct lung, but they want to mimic mouth to lung as well too. And I think it's very difficult to do the airflow correctly when you're trying to blend that wide of a range of airflow that goes in there. I personally think that Hastor is more direct lung than it is mouth lung. That's just my personal experience with it. But again, we have a range that I think will satisfy 95% of the mouth to lungers, right? And that is all you can do with one design of a tank. There's definitely not one tank that's going to satisfy everybody out there.
There's no perfect vape, only the perfect vape for you, right?
Mm-hmm.
True. So is there any works like on any certain mods that y'all are thinking about?
Yeah, we're working on a nuclear version of a mod. The problem is that you have to wear a biohazard radiation suit right now to use it. So we're in the really, really early stages of that one.
That's when you go to North Korea, right? You're gonna work.
Yeah, exactly right. Actually, that's where it's being created right now. No, there are some things in the works. There's products. You know, Innokin is just one of those companies that, you know, they don't move as fast as some other companies. They really try to get things done the right way.
Yeah.
So, you know, we want to go a little bit faster than they're allowing us to go, I think, at this point a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's definitely other stuff. So the you know how like Joytech has eLeaf and, you know, a bunch of subsidiaries. Under Innokin, we're going to be platform. Okay, so that's like a it's not really like as separate as eLeaf is from Joytech, but we're going to be a line under Innokin called Platform, right?
Yeah.
So, and this is the first release. And like Dimitri said before, this is actually not supposed to be the first release. The Zenith was supposed to be the first release, but we've got this one just because of timing and design.
Do you have the Zenith, by the way?
I do. I can go grab one.
Can you grab one? I wanted to say that I think it's very important to have a good starter kit on the market, and I think that the Zenith is going to be a very, very good tank, but it is 24 millimeter to launch. So we decided, you know, we were looking around about devices, but one of the devices that we really like from Innokin is the Chroma. And for various reasons. I mean, I like the form factor. I like the design. I like the ease of use. I like the fact that it has a built-in battery. When we're talking about starter kit, again, we're not really going to reinvent the wheel, okay? You have coil, you have cotton, you have power, and you vape, right? So what we're going to do with the Zenith is we're going to put it in a kit with a platform edition of the Chroma. I think that new users are more prone to use a device that doesn't have removable batteries. They don't have to charge them separately. They can just plug this USB with a 1.5 ohm coil. You get a full day out of this device as well too. So what we decided to do is do a redesign of the Chroma just aesthetically, and then add the Zenith tank to it to make a new starter kit. Try to keep it under, you know, around the $60-65 range for people to get started, which I think is pretty reasonable.
And for the kit, I'm actually really happy that we are going with the Chroma. I kind of hinted in one of the videos that this actually, like, when I look at the design and the feel of this, I almost feel like it's a Radius Mini, right? I think that's what I call it. I mean, maybe it's the texture of the grip, maybe it's the look of the device. But that's how I feel about it. And it's also holding up because I have a lot of use on this device and it's holding up. The finish is holding up. It's really, really good. I like the size. I like the compactness. I like the ease of use on it. It doesn't have the newest screen in the world. It's not a color screen, but it's easy to use and it functions. It functions well.
Yeah. One of the things that I really love about it is that when you put on an atomizer, it asks you, was that the same tank that you're using, or if this is wattage, or if this is stainless steel. So for a new user, it makes it a little bit more easy. And, you know,
still needs to be easier.
Yeah, it needs to be easier. But this is obviously a prototype of the Zenith. The final version is changed since this. But I just think it's small. It's compact for somebody that's starting out, that's trying to have something that's a little bit better battery lasting, a little bit more satisfying than the pod systems that are out there. I think it'll make a really good option for it. And just a couple of things that I'm really, really proud of on this, because my wife, I mean, if your wife is happy, everybody's happy in your life. I mean, there's no doubt about it. But one of the biggest complaints that we have from new users is gurgling and flooding. You know, if ask anybody, they'll tell you they get juice in their mouth,
especially on top fill tanks.
Yeah. So when you open up the tank, you create this kind of a pressure that once you put the top back on, it just shoots some more liquid into the coil, and then somebody picks it up and it gurgles. It's not a satisfying vape. So the only way to do that is to shut the juice flow automatically without having to tell somebody that's doing it, right? Because now most of the tanks, like the K-Fun, you have to turn off the juice flow, open the cap, fill it, then open up the juice flow, and then get the juice back flowing. On this tank here, what we have developed is an auto juice flow shutoff. So to fill it, all you do is just turn the cap on and exposes the fill hole. And as soon as you do that move to open up the port to fill it, it automatically shuts the juice flow inside the tank.
That's genius.
So no, you don't have to even tell the user.
That's the goal.
That's the goal.
Is to not give the user another step in the process, right?
You can leave this open, and you know the juice is cut off to the coil completely. As soon as you fill it up with liquid and you close the top,
it opens.
It opens up the juice flow, and liquid continues to go down to the floor. My wife absolutely loves that. The fact that as soon as she does that, she puts it in her mouth and gets immediately a satisfying vape.
The other thing too is like with the Nautilus, the changing the coil, you got to take the glass off. It's sometimes a messy process. So with this one, we went with Innokin's, I don't know if you want to call it easy change coil system or whatever, but you unscrew the bottom of the tank, you grab the threading of the coil and you pull it out, and this has the old O-rings in it, so it's a little bit more challenging. But this comes out, your hand doesn't get wet, nothing gets wet with e-liquid, you're not using any vapor towels, you throw this out, you insert a new one, and of course the tank in this case does not have to be drained first, right? And then you put that back in and you screw the bottom on and you're ready to go. Yeah. Of course, you still have to prime the coil. That's one thing I'm trying to figure out, and you know how to work around. I'm sure somebody else will come out with it, because like when you have an idea, there's like 20 other people out there who have the same idea. But you still got to prime the coil. But I think the whole process of working with that tank for a beginner, it's neat, it's easy, it's clean, and that's it.
And that's the feedback.
Yeah,
go ahead.
With the kit, with the chroma, are you going to do something to where the chroma has no temperature control?
Well, we thought about that. We thought about that for a couple of reasons. It's a very good question. The majority of the people don't, but there are a lot of mouth to lungers that more mouth to lungers temperature control than direct lunger, obviously. So we wanted to create a only stainless steel, not nickel and titanium, a stainless steel option coil. So we're going to have a 0.5 stainless steel. We're going to have a 0.8 and a 1.6 ohm Canthal option coils. So I think that offering all three in the kit, all three coils to give the experience to any user to try it is the way to go. So this will be the first kit that actually comes with 3 different coils instead of the usual 2 that you usually get in the kit. And since the chroma does stainless steel temperature control, and in fact, the 0.5 ohm
works
coil
really good.
Works really, really good on this. Why not give the option for somebody to try it? So it's a little bit of a balance there, Mike. I get it. It's easier just to give somebody that doesn't do anything. But on the other hand, I think that they feel a little bit cheated as well, too. They feel like a little bit inadequate versus what's out there as far as the starter kits, which we've seen with the T20S, right, which is a really good starter kit, or the T18. You give somebody this and then kind of feel like, what is this? When I see your device has all these options on it, I feel like yours is better for me to quit smoking. So we try to balance it where we'll use the chroma that does that recognition as soon as you put a new coil on there, but offer them the stainless steel option for temperature control.
Yeah. And believe me, if I had all the time in the world, the chroma would get a whole new interface, right? And I got a lot of ideas there too that hopefully we'll bring to future Innokin product. But yeah, unfortunately, we don't have all the time in the world.
There's a few mods that have like 2 modes, like beginner mode and expert mode.
Yeah, we know.
Beginner mode, you could have just the straight wattage and have it automatically detect the coil. In expert mode, you could have it to where, you can adjust all the settings yourself.
Yeah. I think that's the direction that we're going to go with the MVP, the redesigned MVP, because I do believe that the MVP is a solid piece. It's something that's recognizable by Innokin. I think we just need to make the interface a little bit different and redesign the whole box. But I agree with you. It's nice to have that option, but also keep in mind that the chroma, it'll do 75 watts. So if somebody buys it and eventually they say, hey, I want something bigger, you can actually buy a bigger tank and then use it with the existing device. You don't have to buy another device as well, too. So that's kind of the struggle as well, too. Do we make a 25-watt device that we put on the market that people just buy specifically for the Zenith, or give them the option to use the same device with something more advanced in the future? And I think this kind of balances that out.
Yeah. Well, I took a trip this summer, and I've had the first chroma forever.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been a perfect tank for me, or not tank, mod, excuse me. Phone's ringing. But this, like I said, for the size and everything on it, I went up in the mountains. It lasted me pretty much all day. I mean, I wasn't just hitting it like crazy, but this was a perfect little device. I think Innokin really knocked this one out of the park.
I totally agree with you, Scott. I totally agree with you, and the looks of it too. I just like the looks of it. I'm a kind of a black and white mod guy, right? I like black devices. I like white devices, and they gave me both in that package right there. And I think it's a terrific little piece.
Wow,
definitely.
That's one of my wife's favorite devices. She uses that with the Berserker.
That's what my wife uses. She uses the chroma with obviously the Zenith now, and she absolutely loves the easy. You just plug it, and I was out of coils because obviously this is a prototype, so we only get like a limited amount of coils when they're coming in. But I ran out of the Zenith coils, and I built her the Aries TBD edition, the 2 mil, and she loved the vape out of it, right? But I know with my traveling, as soon as I go out of town, she's not going to take it apart and change the cotton and clean. It's just not going to happen, guys. I mean, we have to admit that there's a big portion of the industry that just wants to vape and stay off cigarettes. So it's good to have a tank that's easy to use and doesn't flood. The only drawback with the Zenith is that you can't take it apart, right? You can't, because of the mechanism inside that we've created to shut the juice flow. So what we did is we went with the option of protecting the tank better to prevent breaking the glass. So it has a lot of stainless steel on the tank on both sides, and it has a raised top and bottom. The top and the bottom cap are just slightly raised, so if it does fall down, the glass does not get hit. It'll hit either one of the corners. That's the only I would say drawback.
Negative. That's a negative.
Again, it's a give and take. Like if you want to stop that juice flow automatically and not gurgle, you're not going to be able to. So we're giving you something when we're taking something away. And I think for the majority of the newbie, if you want to call them vapors, or people like my wife, she'll just, you know, put a little water in it, shake it, blow it out, and then she's ready to go afterwards.
Yep.
Nice.
Thumbs down.
That's a thumbs down. Yes. Yes.
It's a thumbs down that leads to a big pro.
Yes.
Yep.
Exactly right. It's a trade-off. Absolutely.
I always say that, like with vaping, it's a game of trade-offs. You know, are you willing to give up this to gain that? Are you willing to give up maybe a little bit of flavor to gain ease of build? And like that's how I build, right? I prefer something that's just easier to work with. You know, maybe it doesn't have that like perfect godsend flavor vape, whatever, right? But I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah. But you don't use a screw, so you're not really. I mean, if you use the screw, then you'd be really, really easy. Because the screw method is fantastic, and people use it and they don't admit it. This is what I said on the video that I shot yesterday when I was doing the presentation on how to use a screw. I said, even if you're an experienced vapor and you want to use it, you can use it. Just don't tell anybody, because it's some of it is fun, especially with a screw method, but some of it is functionality. We had a lady yesterday, 70 years old, that messaged us and says that her hands tremble. So when she wants to build, her hands shake a lot as well too. So by using the screw, because your wire falls into that groove, you're gonna get a perfect coil all the time. So she uses it. So there is some functionality there with all the kitting aside with the screw, and it's good to have people like 70-year-old people build. I mean, I think it's fantastic. I think it's great by giving them those options. You know,
I used to really cool. Use the screw method, and my coils come out perfect.
See, Fagan. Now you're gonna say it, and people are gonna say that
Well, okay,
you're
so
you're a girly vape. That's what they tell me.
I love the screw method. I loved it.
and you know what? I bust his balls on the screw method all the time, but that's just me busting his balls,
Yeah.
right? And I even said it in the video. I of course I will continue to bust his balls on it. I will continue to call it the training wheels method, but I also acknowledge the fact that it is a really good idea and can certainly help people, right? Absolutely.
At least I had one good idea on this project.
There was one good idea.
Well, you know, I always bust Mark's ass on shit because he sends all his shit down to his local vape shop to get his coils built.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask this because I know Phil's already answered the question, but Dimitri, are you going to be at the St. Louis Vape Showcase?
I don't think I am, because I will be in Greece from December the 5th till December the 17th.
Okay.
So I have the store opening there and some distribution stuff to finish up, and then Phil's going to come down for the weekend as well too. So I will not. I mean, there's a show now every week. I mean, it's just, again, it's starting to get under control. It's just it's crazy, and I wish we could be at every one of them. Trust me. One of the things that, and I know, Mike, you've been traveling a lot lately. One of the most enjoyments that we get by going to these meets is actually talking to people.
Yeah.
You know, we just like sitting down, meeting people that we know online, discussing products, you know, how you help them through their journey, and just getting a feel for what the community is about. It's really one of my favorite things, and I know Phil enjoys it as well too. So we wish we could be at every one, unfortunately. And especially in my case, so with the kids and all that, it's very, very difficult to balance, you know, your family and this industry. But hopefully in 2018 we'll be able to go to some places that we haven't been before. We really enjoy doing that.
Yeah.
How about Phil? You going to Foxwoods in March?
Yeah.
Nice. That's gonna be a good one.
I think he's got me guest emceeing it a little bit. But
I'll be at that one too.
I'm actually doing all of the NVE events. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. I'm excited. I didn't go to Foxwoods last year. Something I was somewhere. I don't know where.
Foxwoods is a really good one simply because of the venue. The venue is fantastic. I mean, it's a really, really good venue. I want to get my wife to go to that one too, because, well, maybe that's not a good idea because all the shopping that is there, but she'll enjoy it too.
You had your wife there on the last one, right?
I did.
I know. I was just actually there last week. I went there for 2 nights. And my wife right away, let's go to she wants to go to the Tanger outlets.
Of course. Yeah. Happy wife, happy life, right?
Better sell some of those RDAs, boy. I tell you what.
So have y'all got any big plans for next week for Thanksgiving, or just hanging out with family?
Well, it's for as far as like the combination of the two, because we are launching the tank as well. And we're trying to work with the distributors and the outlets here. We're kind of like the in-between pushing them off to Innokin, make sure everything's been taken care of. I do want to give a shout out to Ed Bolin with eSig Gallery.
Yeah.
He was the first distributor here to jump on it, and he's doing very well with the pre-orders on it.
Vapor DNA,
My Vapor
Store.
Store will have it online. We're working with a few other distributors here in the United States, so we're trying to make sure that they're happy. Unfortunately, between all this, we have to do our Thanksgiving as well too. So for me, mostly it's going to be family. I'm going to take the kids and the wife and go down to Atlanta and spend it with her family for that day. And I'm getting pressured to go into Canada Friday, the day after Thanksgiving, because they're having the big protest there. Canada's having a really bad bill in the Ontario province, Bill 174, that's basically going to eliminate vaping. I mean, it's going to shut down all the stores. So I might have to jump on a plane the day after Thanksgiving and fly up there and participate and maybe do a little guest speaking in the protest that they're having there. So
is that Toronto?
It's Toronto's part of the Ontario province. And,
but I mean, is it in Toronto? The protest?
I think it is. Yes, I think it's in Toronto. But I think that for you guys and everybody that's listening that has social media, get out there and help the Canadian vapors a little bit, because it's disgusting what they're trying to do. I mean, you basically can't have a vape shop anymore if this law passes, and it's going to affect a lot of vapors in Canada.
Unbelievable.
It's so fucked up how negative a lot of this shit is, and it's just only helping people. I know it's out there with a lot of things, but being involved in the vape community so hard, it's just a lot of freaking negativity.
Well, keep in mind that in 2018, it's going to get worse for us here in the United States as well, too, for one reason. And believe me when I tell you, I hear a lot of stuff in this community about me. Phil will tell you as well, too. They say, oh, Dimitri's really blunt and really raw. And,
always negative.
He's negative. But I'm going to tell you how it is. You might not like to hear it, but I will never lie to you when it comes about advocacy and all the games that are being played, not from the opposition only, but from our own industry as well, too. So, because I believe you should know the raw truth to make decisions for your business, for your family, for your community, for your vaping journey. You need to know what's going on. Next year, there's going to be a barrage of bills coming state by state for one reason and one reason only, and that is the heat not burn product that the big tobacco companies are putting out there. Our biggest enemy in 2018 is not tobacco-free kids. It's not the FDA. It's not the government. It's the heat not burn product. The tobacco companies have invested billions into this product, and they will make it successful in the United States. They will get a PMTA. They possibly can get an MRTP application, a modified risk product category that they've applied to, and they're going to spend billions to promote this. And by doing so, they're going to throw vaping under the bus, right? Because it's a tobacco product. The people that are going to be selling it are still going to get their tobacco tax money. It doesn't come in flavors. It mimics a cigarette very well. They have billions to put marketing behind it. So who gets it? Us. The vaping community is going to get it. Also, look at the acquisitions that are happening lately, and more are going to be announced here in the next couple of weeks. I can't really tell you who, but Big Tobacco has already picked up Avail Vapor. They picked up Sync. So why are they doing that? What did they do with Blue? They picked up Blue to kind of put them to the side to push Views, their own product. So now you never hear about Blue like you used to a couple of years ago. Not because it went away. They bought it to kind of squash the market with their Views product. They're going to do exactly the same thing now. They're going to buy some liquid companies. They're going to buy some vapor companies. They're going to buy chains of vapor stores to put the heat not burn product in there and put it in that distribution. And at the end of the day, we're the ones that are going to get hurt on it. So trust me when I tell you we're fucked. I mean, when I say we're fucked, I mean that we're fucked.
Well, on that happy note.
Well, you know what? I'd rather you be honest than lie about the shit, because we need to know.
Well, there's a lot of advocacy groups out there that are walking on eggshells. That are they want to continue to get money from the industry. So obviously they're going to say, "Oh, we have a plan. We're going to save vaping. We're developing this. Give us your money. Give us your money." But honestly, I mean, legislatively, we don't have a win. HR 1136 didn't go anywhere. The Cole Bishop Amendment at this point, 88 co-sponsors is great, but we're nowhere near what we need to get it passed. Congress can't even do health care. They can't even pass tax reform. Trust me, vaping is not the top priority in there. and this is the raw truth, guys. I mean, we're talking about politics here. No politician cares about vaping more than do about changing Obamacare, which was what the Republicans ran on and won the election. Right. So from a politics standpoint, we have 2018 midterm elections coming. The Democrats are making a big push. Honestly, Hunter's Bill 2094 has 2 co-sponsors. You can't possibly think that this is going to save vaping. It's just not a reality. So when I say this stuff, I'm not deterring you from supporting the advocacy groups. I just want you to be informed and don't believe the hype. Don't fall for, the repeal and replace. Don't fall for the EVCAs out there that come outside and they say that, oh, we're going to be save vaping, and people are just blindly giving them thousands of dollars. Ask questions, find out what's going on, make an educated adult decision on what's going to help your business and what's going to help you as a vapor, and try to discover what the truth behind these movements are. It's not really that they hate vaping. It's simply a corporate profit interest in the heat not burn product for the next couple of years. That's it. I'm not going to talk about advocacy anymore.
I've seen that heat not vape.
Yeah.
I saw it in the UK.
Yeah. Listen, in Greece, there's 8 stores right now, Mike.
Yeah.
8 stores, Aqua stores, and they're selling very, very well.
Yeah.
I mean, they've been developing this product for years.
The funny part is I was right in front of me, and the guy was going to hand it to me just to check it out. I didn't even want to touch it. I was like, let's keep it away from me.
Yeah, you should try it just to see that. For us, when I tried it actually in development 2.5 years ago, by the way. When I tried it, and I was sitting there with Dr. Fasalinos and a couple other people from these companies, it tastes like shit, right? So I told him, as a vapor, I'm not intimidated or threatened by this product, because as a vapor, you're going to have no interest in it. But the truth is that tobacco companies know the smoker better than anybody. And a smoker will easily grasp onto this product because it tastes so much like a cigarette, and it mimics the cigarette so well, where vaping kind of, again, going back to the early discussion, we kind of got away from what the smoker's needs are. So it's going to be successful. There's no doubt about it. We as an industry should not be peddling it. We should not be promoting it. And I hate when I see advocacy groups saying, well, heat not burn is better for you and we should be supportive. I agree. Scientifically, it's been proven that heat not burn is better than combustible tobacco. There's no doubt about it. If somebody has tried vaping and they can't quit, I would highly suggest that they try a heat not burn product. But I'm not going to go on social media and say, hey, guys, we should be supporting heat not burn because it's a reduced harm product. No, that's not what I signed up for, right? Number one, I signed up to help people with vaping. And number two, trust me, Altria and RJ Reynolds have enough money to peddle this product to make it successful. They don't need my voice or somebody that's an advocate in this industry saying heat not burn is good. Stop doing that shit. It pisses me off, and I'll call you out every time, even if you're my friend. And I've done that with Gregory Conley, which he is my friend. He came down to Tennessee for a conference this past week. And most of the time we agree on subjects. But on this particular subject, I told him, Greg, I agree heat not burn is good. But I'm not going to go on Facebook and hand check that shit, right? Nope. Stop doing that. It doesn't benefit us at all.
I actually have I got a review on that coming up this afternoon.
All right, I'm done. I'm not going to talk about advocacy anymore. Talk about something fun.
Talk about, show's over now. I mean,
talk about your underwear or something.
Yeah. Well, actually, we've gone kind of past the point, which is good. It was a special occasion to do that today. So wrapping this up.
You're wrapping up?
So again,
did I say anything?
Yeah, you got a few words in.
Get it in.
You know what? Next time, I'm not having him sit next to me. Next time, just me.
Don't fly him in for the show next time. All right.
Well, you know, Scott, and the guys that have met me at the shows with Mike. When I start talking about this, I get really, really passionate. So maybe it's a good thing, maybe it's a bad thing, but I can't hold back, man. It really pisses me off to see our industry and these small business owners and the reviewers, the people that are making a living off this. Even the consumers, I hate from them we're getting fucked every time by our own sometimes. It pisses me off, and I can't stop not saying anything about it. And, you know, like I said, if that makes me a bad guy or whatever, that makes me an asshole, guess what? I'm a Greek asshole.
We need that person.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and you can ask Phil. I've been talking to Phil. He's been on the show a couple of times, and I've kept telling him, look, I got to get a show where I got to have both of y'all on here, and I finally pulled it off. So
Yeah, it's good timing too that I'm here at his vape lair.
Maybe next time we could have a more lighthearted show, a little bit more of me and a little bit less of him.
Yeah,
I think would really be much better for your viewers. I think.
You just have a picture of him next.
Hey, did I tell you that the Aris comes with a picture of us on the inside? I thought it was really sweet. But notice, Phil actually reversed this picture. I was on the left on the original picture, and he had the engineers switch it around in Photoshop to make sure that Phil's picture is first and then me. Ain't that some bullshit? That's some bullshit.
All right, so give your final thoughts on prices, when they can get it, all that good stuff. So here's your 10 seconds of fame.
Well, again, I know my Vapor Store is going to have it. I know Vapor DNA is going to have it. The MSRP on it is going to be $39.95. Not sure what they're going to list it at. Maybe they'll even have like a Black Friday special or something like that, which would be cool. It comes with everything that we just talked about. There's my introduction video that went live this morning if you want to know more about it. You know, to all of the folks who offered their support, and we appreciate it so much. I mean, it's really helped us, and we hope people love it. We hope it comes out of the factory perfect. We hope everything is right with it. You know, it's gonna be now. It's like it's out of our hands, and we hope for the best. Right?
Also, for brick and mortar stores that are interested, eSig Gallery is the first company that's getting them this Friday. The shipment's coming into eSig Gallery. He placed a huge order, and Face of Vape Distro, New Jersey distributors as well, I think, is picking it up. Up in Indiana, there's another company that's picking it up for distro. So, and again, just message us if you're interested. I know this is not very a popular item for brick and mortar stores because they don't really cater to the MTL RTA crowd. However, I will tell you that me and Phil are an MTL group, and the biggest complaint, this group has 4,000 people on it. The biggest complaint that they have is they go to a brick and mortar store and they don't have any equipment for them to buy, so they buy everything online, right? Yep. So maybe this will set a trend in your brick and mortar store as well too. And I think personally that they're really good for testers, is what Mike said earlier. If you want to have some liquids, especially tobacco 50-50 in your shop for trying out for the new vapor, use these tanks as testers because they can really fine-tune the airflow and find exactly the flavor that liquid has in it, which is really, really important for a smoker. So yeah, we're really, really excited. Thanks to you guys for giving us the time to come on here and talk about
I appreciate it, Scott.
I apologize for my rant earlier, but
no. Hey, that's what I expect out of you. So I want you to do that. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, and then the Zenith is coming out next month. We're really excited about that. And when I was in Dallas, a lot of the vape shop owners that saw it were really excited about it because it takes away the hassle of the Nautilus 2. Nothing against the Nautilus 2. Me and Phil have praised it. The BBC coil has been great all these years.
BBC coil is still one of the best
coils out there. So what we're trying to do is take what's existing and make it more user and error-free. User-friendly and error-free. I think those are the two words that we should be focusing on for 2018 to get more people to quit smoking.
That was actually one of the things I put one of the Vapors Advocate, the guy in Canada who does that show.
Yeah, the CV Charlie.
No, not Charlie. The guy who does the video show.
Oh, Brent Stafford.
Brent Stafford. He did an interesting piece about you know, why vaping is successful and why it isn't successful with a lot of people. And one of the biggest complaints and one of the biggest concerns was ease of use, right?
Ease of use.
And that's why I think, you know, especially with the pod systems nowadays, and I've said this for so long, even before the pod systems came around, look, if you can't find something to get yourself off of a traditional tobacco cigarette, you either don't want to or you're not trying hard enough, or you're getting the wrong advice, right? There's plenty of really, really good product on the market that you don't need those cancer sticks in your life anymore.
And one thing that's the basis behind platform. That's why we call the products platform series. This is your beginning. This is your first steps. All of our products will have QR codes that go to a dedicated page that we can walk you step by step. If you have any troubleshooting, how to build it, how to clean it, we want to make sure that you get us with a product as well too, and the support that needs to be offered. That way, if somebody does pick this up and doesn't have the support, they can just quickly go online and get some help. And all the products will feature that.
Nice.
Personalized Phil Busardo service. Now that is priceless.
Yeah, if you're having problems with it, I actually fly to your house and I build it for you. Yeah, that is not accurate, by the way. I can tell you one of the thumbs down on the Aris is my signature is on there. and my signature looks like the handwriting of a 3-year-old engineer, left-handed, by the way. And then Dimitri's signature is just so
sexy,
much
isn't it?
better than mine.
Thank
It
you.
really, so much.
Your signature looks like a 60-year-old cardiologist writing a prescription.
That's exactly. It does, doesn't it?
Dimitri got an engineer doing a CAD drawing to make it just look real sophisticated.
And you know what's funny is this is a true story. When we're in China, they're like, "Okay, give us your signature."
This is
so
true.
we can put them on the
This is
tank.
funny.
So Dimitri takes the piece of paper. He's like, "Here you go." I put my glasses on, and I go, I'm like, "That's no good." I threw it away.
I
like,
swear to God, he went through
That's
20,
no good.
20 pages of paper doing his signature. I don't like it. Throw it away. Throw it. I like it. It was so funny.
I've been an engineer since I'm like literally 17 years old, and I never wrote anything. I stopped writing at 7, and I typed everything my entire life. And it's like even a signature I can't do. That's why, like, when I look at like Nick and he's signing stuff, and he's got that G, the grim green, and everything. He's signing stuff. I'm like, and then somebody comes to me and they're like, "Hey, can we have?" I'm like, "You really don't want it."
It's a lot of stress. You can see his stress in it as it's sweating down. It's like,
Oh, goodness. Well, guys, I thank you for coming on. I thank you for taking some time out. I also believe I heard y'all are doing a Facebook Live here within a couple hours.
Yeah, 3 o'clock on Zamplebox.
on the Zamplebox page.
Facebook
Yeah,
page.
we're gonna do a Q&A
Q&A.
there, and yeah.
Nice.
But listen, you are the first, so you took the cherry, so you should be very, very proud, Scott.
Hell
You should be
yeah.
very, very proud.
Thanks,
Not that
Scott.
cherry. I've already taken that cherry, but you've
Yeah.
taken the cherry for the Aries, for sure.
I didn't
Well,
feel it.
again, I thank you guys for coming on and taking some time out for me on that. Thanks to my panel here. We're going to get out of here. Quick note, next week, since it is Thanksgiving on Thursday, we're going to bump the show to Wednesday, roughly at the same time. So just be looking for that. And with all that being said, we'll see you next week. Again, thanks to Mr. Phil and Mr. Dimitri for coming on here. Always a good time. We got to have y'all back on at some point in time. So
Absolutely, Scott. Thanks always, man. We enjoy coming on with you guys.
Just get Phil on 30 minutes earlier than me so he can get a word in next
Yeah,
time.
so I can say something.
hell yeah. All right. With that being said, we're out of here. Don't forget the vape team tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern time. I'm trying to remember all my damn times. So don't forget that. We're out of here. Thanks again. Y'all have a good one.
Thanks, guys.